Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everyone. I want to have a chat with you about money, family, and upbringing. And there was a recent article that sort of encapsulates the challenges that many people face. I want to read the headline here with you. Years ago, I gave my son $16,000 with no strings attached. My husband wants him to pay it back. What should I do, right? So the situation is mom gave the kid money, and then they don't necessarily say dad, but husband, dad, whatever you want to call it, wants them to pay it back. So there's a argument there, and we're also involving money. Here's more details. It's like a letter to the editor. You can see here, dear For Love and Money, I gave my adult son money when he was getting a divorce 8 years ago, right? It's talking about something that happened 8 years ago, right, in the past. My husband wants him to pay it back. For the first 5 years, he didn't have the money. So I think they're talking about the son didn't have the money. He is still unable to pay me back and also doesn't want to. To date, he has paid back $6,000 of $16,000. It causes friction between my son and my husband. He wants him to be responsible, meaning the husband or slash dad wants the kid to be more responsible. I gave him money with no strings. He is now going to be a father, right? So now the person writing this letter, the mom is going to be a grandma, right? Her kid is going to have a kid. Any suggestions? Sincerely, still parenting. And, when I read through this thing, it just reminded me of sort of the messy world that many people live in. And also, too, I write about this stuff in my book, Positive Angle. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, please do. The reason why I mention book when we get into these kind of things is because like these kind of problems can't be addressed with, on a 10-minute YouTube video fully, right? We can talk about it and sort of get our minds thinking about it, but these are not simple fixes. And this is sort of why, you have to put things in book form. Moreover, it's about details and helping yourself and a lot of situations to, walk through. The first thing that comes to my mind, and there's a lot of things to talk about here with this, is that kind of the USA culture, and it's not just USA, it could be many countries out there. The general person just wants a quick fix, right? The person thinks, oh, if I just watch a 5-10 minute YouTube video, then therefore my problems will all be solved just like that. And essentially that is entertainment, right? It makes you feel good for 5 to 10 minutes, but then after that, you're back to the same problems that you're facing before. And the reason why I say it like that, and it's not to be mean, not to make you feel sad. And when you talk like that way, people don't want to watch said videos because this is real, they actually don't want to address their true problems. The reason why many people watch YouTube, this kind of stuff, is actually to escape their problems, hence entertainment. And I try to do things really differently to address real problems and actually give you honest and real advice. This kind of situation here where, the mom wants to give the kid money, it makes me feel sad because here's the reality, guys. Some families are way more supportive than others. It is a very real thing. And it's something that I mentioned quite a bit, that I find it strange, and it could be supportive in different ways, right? You could talk about financially supportive, mostly supportive. It's just different ways, right? Because you could give money but not love your kid, or you could love your kid and not give him money, right? Obviously, you want to have the full package because it's real. Money does matter. We do talk about money in this channel. It matters considerably. And it's funny, I was talking about before, and many times in this channel, is that I always find it strange when you have all these people out there who sort of idealize people, and I won't mention names. It doesn't, you guess who you pick your favorite celebrity or whatever. But famous person, celebrity, who was born rich, etc., had a much different lifestyle than the average viewer on YouTube, and it's odd to celebrate their victories and stuff like that when the average person comes from this environment where they have families that barely help you, and even if they do help you, there may be a dispute among parents, right? One parent's like, oh, you shouldn't help the kid, they got to be on their own, they got to take care of themselves. And the environments that I grew up in, basically poor, working class Oregon, right? So it's in the Pacific Northwest. People around me were janitors, construction workers, these kind of things. And kind of the notion was, when you turn 18, your boot's going to be in your butt, you're out the door to go take yourself, good luck. And there was a lot of kids in my high school that faced that basic situation. My particular situation was 30% of the kids dropped out. I was one of them, a high school dropout. You may or not know that. I ended up going to the Ivy League later, which obviously, I'm not stupid or anything, but If you're in an environment where there is no hope and everyone's essentially telling you bad advice all of the time, the adults around you are giving you the boot, these are the challenges that many people face. And I'm talking with you about this because, and I understand, guys, when you read the article, people just talk about surface level stuff. Oh, and the surface level means that I'm just going to address the problem at hand, which is what to do about the $16,000. Did they pay it back or not? Right. And what I want you to get your mind on more is like, what are the deep problems to fix here? Because with any problem in any situation, you want to get at the root of what's causing these things, right? So in this situation, let's address a couple things. So one is you have a dispute between parents on should we help the kid or not, okay? What makes me feel sad is I've seen many positive family situations where like parents put the kids first and they do everything they can to ensure the kid's success. You can, yes, certainly define success as not helping your kid and letting your kid fend for themselves, but I laugh because it's pretty ridiculous. It's that kind of thinking, just to be perfectly honest with you, is like a poor middle class thinking. When you're around, and also to be fair, not every rich person is supportive, 100%. There's some, rich people that completely cut their kids off. That totally happens. So don't think that all rich people are the same, and don't think all poor people are the same. But what I will say that supportive parents matter quite a lot. And so what do you do when you're in a situation where you don't have a supportive family? You have to learn to rely on yourself. And this is something that it becomes really complicated, is because I've essentially had to do this thing all of my life. Like basically, and this is the holiday season, all the other kids that I know would go back to their families and stuff like that. You might know my situation. I lost my family at the end of the Vietnam War, so I've been alone for years. And I used to get sick every holiday season, physically sick. It was just a, how do I say, just a sad time, I guess, because I had nowhere to go. And the things that I had always searched through all my life is like, where is there going to be a place where I can be myself, or I can have support of people? Because you do. It's not, in this situation, it's not just money. It's sort of emotional support of like, hey, you're not crazy, you're going the right direction. We can talk about the things that you want to do, and how can we possibly help you to get where you want to go. And one of the biggest lessons that I try to stress in my book, and I want to stress with you, is you really need to find that circle of people that are like-minded like you. One of the things that I enjoy doing YouTube is because I know exactly how it is of, if you're a kid out there that just feels like all the people around you are giving you negative energy, negative advice, and just frankly not suitable for you, right? Everyone's needs to find their own little niche of what makes sense for you. And what's sort of sad about our current state of social media and influencer stuff, like et cetera, give people like awful advice, and moreover just like make up crap all the time. It is something that's very, very sad to see. And the reason why this article that I point out with you about the two parents arguing whether to help the kid, that represents the average viewer on YouTube. It may represent you. And so this is sort of why I refer to these sort of audiences as vulnerable, because they're looking for help and looking for guidance. And sadly, most of the guidance out there is not very good. When and you guys may not know my story, I just sharing with you, I discovered my family after 48 years, which is a crazy, crazy story in itself. And again, I talk about this stuff in my book because it is so difficult to talk about these things. And I'm trying my best to, put it into words that make sense. I met with my family, and it was so crazy, like how many problems that there are embedded in the family. I mean, really a lot. There's so many, like I can't even say publicly this stuff, but I'll just say some family members have criminal records. For real. I'm not making it. I laugh because it's like, oh my God, for me, I don't generally hang out with people with criminal records. It's not something I want to do. And like I said, I don't want to go too deeply into that stuff, but believe me, it's not good. And moreover, there's a lot of like pain and things like that where people inflicted on each other years ago, be it money, be it emotionally, etc. And the sad thing about this is that for some people and some families, these things never go away and it's never addressed. So for example, in this situation here, the like I said, the average person will just look at it and think of the surface level and to think, oh, what do you do with the money? It's not do with the money. The first thing that I thought of when I was looking at this was like, okay, there's a dispute between the mom and the dad, and they're dealing with a kid who just got divorced or got divorced 8 years ago. But the point being is that the core here is that there was never, I won't say never, but that there's not a good role models that the kid had on how to have a good relationship or pick a good partner. Because like here, like this is very real. You have a married couple who's disputing on whether or not to help the kid with money, and then the kid ends up getting divorced. and I know, see, most people wouldn't make that connection, right? Because one of the things that happens is that when you're a kid, the people that you look up to, the people that are around you, so in this situation, the kid's parents, that's sort of how you emulate around. Now, certainly, for those of you who say, "Oh, well, Chris, this has nothing to do with the son's divorce," he made his own decision. But this is what I'm telling you is that I want you to think about how the environment that you grew up in shapes the way that you see the world and shapes the decisions that you make. Simple example: when I was a kid, most of the adults around me basically all got pregnant as teens, basically. And so what does that do to your kids? Meaning that if the generation above you, all had you when you were a teenager, like, I hope you understand what I'm getting at, right? And these are really just very sensitive topics, it'll make it sound like, oh, Chris is so mean talking about teen parents, stuff like that. But I want to understand, like, you set up yourself for, what's the right word to say, I guess, generational struggles. And moreover, this sort of problem is going to replicate in this family, right? The parents are disagreeing about money. They taught their kid kind of negative things, and so the kid ended up picking the wrong partner, right? Getting divorced, and now they're going to be having a kid, right? Maybe they got remarried, who knows? And chances are that kid is going to go through these same things because, maybe every Christmas that kid's going to grow up seeing their dad and then their grandfather, right, in the situation, argue out money, these kind of things, and they'll just replicate. I hope you guys understand why I'm saying, like, these are deeply seated problems and very difficult to solve. But what I want you to be thinking about why we take a deep dive into these kind of situations is, one, understand that there are different ways to live. Just because you grew up in a certain environment does not mean you have to replicate that environment, okay? Two, recognize the environment you get in and figure out a way to get yourself out of it. That's the best way to describe it. If all the friends around you are doing substances, drugs, etc., don't be around those people. It's just as simple as that. Just don't be around those people. For me, I'm kind of a mean person in that way. If there's negative people that I don't want to be around, I simply don't talk to them. It's that simple to me. There's just too many people out there in the world that I can spend my time with that's going to be way more positive and way better influences that I would rather be with. And during the holiday season, sometimes, depending on your situation, you may go back to whatever city that you grew up in, etc. And you may find that you have all this sort of, how can I say, old fights and old relationships that are rekindled, and it kind of reminds you, oh, that's why I left. That's why I don't go back there anymore. These kind of things. And for those of you who have supportive family and support things, fantastic. Go home, get the support that you need. Because some people that is a very real thing. For example, my wife and I, we just bought train tickets. We're going to go visit her family, and her mom and dad are very, very kind. It is completely night and day from what the environments that I grew up in. And I say environments because it's more than one, and it's, like I said, it's an extremely complicated topic. And until you've seen different ways that other people live, you won't realize that you have choices in your life. And so what makes me feel sad, and I'm not sure what word to say it, frustrated, that's a better word, is literally, I do this, and I talk about this sometimes on my channel. My wife and I, we make vlogs to just show us, hey guys, we have very different life than what you would imagine life is like, say, in Busan, right? Most people don't even know where Busan is, which is fine, completely fine, right? It's nothing wrong with not knowing where it is. I don't know where every city in the world is. I don't. I have to look stuff up sometimes. But the reason why I do that is I like to give you all an alternate perspective on how to think about life. Or, we talk about buying cars or houses and jobs, promotions, these kind of things. And I like to give you guys a different perspective, because if you truly do want to change your life, you need to examine, like, okay, what kind of situation am I in, and how can I address these deeply seated problems that have been there for years and maybe generations. And again, when I read this one here, I think this is a big one. I'll just read the headline again. Years ago, I gave my son $16,000 with no strings attached. My husband wants to pay it back. What should I do? There's so many problems with this scenario here, right? Like I said, if you want to talk social stuff, should the son pay it back or not? I think you should just give your kid money and say, hey, we're trying to help you out. We're trying to have you have success, right? That's my opinion on that. But again, I think this issue is much bigger than just the headline. So I hope you understand why we have these conversations sometimes, and I hope this is useful and helpful for you. Hope you guys are having a good holidays, and I'll try to do these more videos more often, but they're really complicated topics. So that's literally, and I'm just be honest with you guys, I had a tough growing up, and I hope that there are other people out there that can find this useful, that want to better their lives. So thanks again, and I'll catch you next video.